Reading Rocket.
Disney's Strange World. So You Want to Be an Explorer. By Steve Beeling and illustrated by the Disney Storybook art team. Welcome to Avalonia. Avalonia is a town surrounded by impassable mountains. I've lived here my whole life, and until recently, I'd never left because of, well, those impassable mountains I just told you about. Who am I? My name is Ethan Clade, and my dad raised me to be a farmer just like him. You know, get up early in the morning, harvest crops all day, come home at night, then get up and do it all over again the next day. We farm Pando, a plant that provides energy for all of Avalonia. Everything runs on Pando. For my dad, Searcher, this was the perfect life. But for me, look, farming is cool and all, but I craved something more exciting. Hey, do you hear that? It's the call to adventure. And if you hear it, guess what? You gotta listen to it and follow your heart wherever it leads. It led me to sneak aboard a grand airship called the Venture and follow my dad on an epic journey to find out why our Pando crops were dying. Oh, and a quick heads up in case you're thinking about doing this. You should probably ask your parents first, because they might freak out. In my case, my mom, Meridian, noticed I wasn't on the farm. She's a crop duster pilot, so she flew after the Venture to bring me home. And my dad? Well, I knew he'd be upset because he asked me to stay behind to take care of the farm. But there was no way I was going to give up this opportunity to become an explorer because, let's face it, exploration is awesome. You know, maybe you should think about becoming an explorer too. It's a big decision. So I'm here to help. I'm going to show you all the cool things I learned about being an explorer. Oh, and some not so cool things too. That's cool. Traveling by airship is amazing. Explorers rely on airships like the Venture to visit places you could never get to on foot. Plus, if you're lucky like me, you might even get the chance to take the controls. Pretty awesome, right? Not so cool. Traveling by airship is amazingly scary when you have to fly over an acid lake. Acid lakes are kind of nasty, by the way, so you want to avoid those if you can. Flying isn't so easy when you need to dodge splashing tidal waves of acid that can burn through steel. When that happens, you probably want to hand the controls back to a skilled pilot, like my mom. That's cool. Exploring with your family can be fun. Setting off on a big adventure with your family is awesome because you get to work together to solve problems and share exciting experiences that you wouldn't have at home. I was most excited to team up with my grandfather, Jaeger, who just happens to be the most famous explorer in Avalonia. He's all about adventure, and a big reason why I wanted to become an explorer. If you ask me, there's no one better to go on adventures with than the legendary Jaeger Clade. Of course, my dad, the devoted farmer, might disagree. When he was my age, my grandfather used to drag him along on his expeditions. But Dad was more interested in discovering cool plants like Pando than going on harrowing adventures. Not so cool. Exploring with your family can be not fun. Honestly though, spending lots of time with your family can be tricky too. You might get into arguments, like my dad and grandfather did during their last expedition together. Jaeger wanted my dad to follow in his footsteps and become an explorer, but my dad wanted a different life for himself. He wanted to be a farmer. My grandfather decided to continue his exploration alone and Dad returned to Avalonia with his pando plant. Years later, they would face their biggest challenge yet, figuring out how to work past their differences to save the world. That's cool. Exploring gives you a chance to test yourself. When you're exploring, you'll face plenty of challenges, and that will test your skills in a way you never imagined. Maybe that means riding a flying creature through a lightning storm, or using teamwork to confront a rival, or figuring out what to do when your plans go wrong. As an explorer, you have to be prepared to face any problem with courage and quick thinking. Not so cool. Tests aren't so easy when you're under attack. If there's one downside to exploring, it's got to be getting chased by creatures that think you're the bad guy, especially the squirmy creatures. Anyway, a friendly word of warning here. Always remember to watch your back. Hidden dangers can pop out of nowhere, and you gotta be ready to show that you mean no harm. That's cool. Exploring means making new friends. When you're exploring an incredible world, you might just meet some new friends. This is way better than meeting squirmy creatures, trust me. They can help make strange places seem a lot less, well, strange. See this little guy here, the one with all the legs? I call it Splat. Splat is a good friend, even if it sometimes takes stuff that doesn't exactly belong to it. I think that's just because Splat's curious. As an explorer, I know all about curiosity. Besides, Splat has saved my life once or twice. That makes Splat pretty great in my book. Not so cool. Your thirst for adventure might cause you to overlook the little things. There's a very good chance that you'll get so caught up in the excitement and action that important stuff will get lost in the noise. Like what, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. Maybe somebody right next to you is trying to tell you something you absolutely need to know, but you're so focused on the adventure that you didn't even notice. Like when Splat was trying to show me that the creatures I thought were monsters weren't really such bad guys after all. If I hadn't listened to Splat, we would be in major trouble. To be a successful explorer, you have to be willing to listen to others and change your mind. Speaking of changing your mind, maybe all this cool and not so cool stuff has you thinking that exploration isn't really your thing. And that's okay. Being an explorer isn't for everyone. After all, my dad didn't want to be an explorer like my grandfather, and I didn't want to be a farmer like my dad. But in the end, we each found the thing that made us happiest. It's up to you to pick your own path. Choose what you want to do, and find what will make you happiest. That's what we should want for everyone we love, to discover for themselves who they're meant to be, rather than having someone else decide for them. Now that I think about it, everyone is an explorer in their own way, even my dad. He might not consider himself an explorer. Let's face it, taking risks and facing danger aren't really his style. But when he discovered Pando, he knew it was something special, so he brought it home to explore what it could do. And it changed Avalonia forever. I guess what I'm trying to say is, you don't have to fly an airship over an acid sea or get chased by squirmy creatures to make the most important discovery of all, who you are meant to be. Whether you want to be a writer, a pilot, a cook, or something entirely new, you simply need to explore what makes you happiest and use it to bring something good into the world. Remember, there's a whole wide world out there, just waiting for you to explore. And you can do or be anything you want. Just listen to your heart and follow where it leads you. Your friends and family will understand because they want you to be happy. They might even join you for the adventure of a lifetime. Let's go make history.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe for regular uploads. If you have a favorite book you'd like read, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Until next time, friends!